everyone, and welcome back to the Successfully Balanced podcast. I'm your host Aria, and today we're talking about how to still be productive and still stay consistent even when you are really tired. And I think this episode is really ironic because today I am exhausted, and so I think this also goes as proof the fact that you can also actually get stuff done even when you're tired, because I do not feel like recording this episode right now. I was trying my hardest to procrastinate about it, but I was like, no, Aria, you gotta film it. And especially because this is the topic I think is just so suitable. So anyways, if you're new to this podcast, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This podcast is for the ambitious women who have really big goals and want to achieve really big things and just go so far in their life. So if you enjoy it, please give it a rating on Spotify. It really, really helps the podcast. I think one of the biggest things that helps the podcast get promoted to even more women is actually if you rate it, especially if you rate it 5 stars, that'd be amazing. But otherwise also if you're watching on YouTube, then like, subscribe, all of those things. It would really help me out. But as I always do at the start of every episode, one thing that I've been doing to work towards my goals this week is I actually recorded the entire course and edited and uploaded the whole course for my productivity course, which is coming out literally tomorrow, or like the day that this podcast launches on Monday, the 20th of April, then that is when the course is going up. So that was super exciting, but I literally worked from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday getting all those videos done, and it took a lot longer than I expected, but I really just wanted to make it as good as possible because like you guys watching it, like I really want to get something out of it. It took a long time, but it's now up, and the rest of tomorrow morning I'm going to be doing all of the final things, like making all the templates for each of the course videos, writing the sales page and everything like that, and then it will be launching, and I'm so excited. And I'm also going to be hosting a free masterclass, productivity masterclass. I'll be hosting that later in the week, and yeah, but the course is called the Momentum Method. If you're listening like later, a couple months later, then if you search out the Momentum Method on my website, it will be there. Which also, another thing guys, I did a photo shoot this week on Thursday. If you saw my story, you'll know like it was just such a good experience. It was amazing. The photographer was so good. If you guys saw that, then you may know that I'm currently working on my website, which will go up in the next couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about, and that will just make it so much easier for you guys to navigate like all of the different facets of like how we can work together and things like that. And I'm also looking at doing a sprint, which is in the very early stages of still, like I don't even know, like there's just so much yet to be decided, but that will be hopefully starting in July. I'll have the first sprint, or maybe even earlier actually. I could do it earlier. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, watch this space. There'll be a sprint happening soon. But that is for the women who they want to achieve their top 3 goals in 90 days. And we're going to work alongside each other for 90 days and literally just smash out all of your goals. And I'm so excited. And it's going to be such a good time. And just, I'm so excited to get all those women together. One more thing is that the community that I mentioned doing last week, we filmed a trailer for it, which will be coming out sometime next week. In terms of balance this week, I went to see a movie. I went to see Project Hail Mary, and it was really good. I think it was kind of sad because this guy was like gonna die in space, but it was really good. Would recommend. And then I also went out for dinner last night with my boyfriend, and we got burgers, and it was just really good. So yeah, overall a really good week, but today I'm feeling tired. Even though I got 8 hours of sleep, sometimes you just don't know. For the first part of this episode, I want to talk about what to do on a day where you are feeling really tired, and then the second part I want to talk about how to increase your energy overall and just like have an overall baseline higher levels of energy. So first of all, when I'm feeling really tired, I honor that, and I don't force myself to do a bunch of extra work just because like of discipline and hustle culture and whatever. I do listen to my body, and I do accommodate what I'm doing for that. So the main thing is that I determine my MVE, which is my minimum viable effort. And this is basically like, okay, if I got nothing else done today, like what is the absolute bare minimum to get done? And today that is literally just the podcast and cleaning my room, because I'm so glad that you can only see this much, because I've been house sitting and I brought all my stuff home yesterday, and there's just so much stuff in front of the photo shoot. So like I need to just clean it all up. But then literally the only things I had to do today was this podcast and tidying things up. And I did also plan to make all the Notion templates for the course and write the sales page and everything, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get that done. I would rather do that tomorrow when I'm hopefully going to be feeling a bit more energetic. So what I did instead is just reschedule them to tomorrow, and today just focus on doing the podcast, just focus on cleaning. That's it. That's all I need to do. And that alone just gives you so much like mental space, because you're like, oh, now I have like space to do things, and it doesn't feel so tight, and you feel like you can just relax a little bit. But when you overload so much on your plate, even when you're already feeling tired, it's like, well, this is not going to get me anywhere. Something that also really helps is actually planning for the next day, because I don't know about you, but I get really stressed when I don't know when or how or I'm going to get something done. And so if I plan for the next day and I know what I'm going to be doing, then I can just kind of like take a breather and be like, you know what, it's okay if I don't get much done today, because I know that tomorrow I'm going to get done everything I need to get done. And that just takes a lot of pressure off. And especially like when you're running a business, you actually can't really afford to like let your tiredness seep into every area of your life and like delay things. So having that plan of like how you're going to approach things when you are feeling less tired really, really helps, and just can give you a bit of that peace of mind. Now the next thing is actually caffeine. I know a lot of people like have mixed opinions about it. I don't actually usually drink caffeine. However, on the days when I just need a bit of an energy boost, I do. So I have like a coffee or a matcha, depending on what I feel like. That being said, don't rely on caffeine for energy. It's like sort of, for me, it's like a last resort. When I know I need to get some stuff done, that's when I have it, but I don't have it just every day because I feel like it, or every day because I'm exhausted every day, because that's not the case. And also having a 20-minute power nap can also really help. That's something that my dad is so good at. He can literally just lay on the floor and nap for 20 minutes and then come up and just be so much more energized. For me, it takes me a little bit longer to get to sleep, but it is often just the thing that I need to just get that last little bit of sleep in that I probably needed and just feel so much better afterwards. Sometimes as well, I find that just romanticizing my work really, really helps. Like if I just get myself a tea and a blanket and just like, especially in winter when it's really cold, it's so much harder to feel motivated. So sometimes just romanticizing it a bit, just making the environment really cozy for yourself could just really make it so much easier for you to sit down and get some work done rather than, you know, just at your desk and it being really boring. And also having someone with you, like a partner or a friend or whoever, to keep you accountable really helps as well, because sometimes when I'm feeling tired, I just need someone else to be doing work with me, and then I'm like, you know what, no, I can get some work done. Or just like, sometimes you just need someone to complain to for like 10 seconds, then you're like, okay, you know what, I can do my stuff now. So if you have someone in your life that would be happy to do some co-working together or whatever, which also, by the way, guys, in the sprint, I'm going to be doing like a co-working link so people can join like anytime and do co-working together. So if you are feeling really tired, you better join that link and co-work with another woman, and that can be really good for if you are really tired. And just that body doubling is what you really need to just sort of like get out of your own head and get some stuff done. Oh, this is a big one actually. Avoid going on your phone and scrolling just because you're tired. And I will admit, like, this is such an easy trap to fall into, and one that I've definitely fallen into multiple times, where you think like, oh, I'm so tired, I just need to like scroll for a bit and then I'll like have more energy. No, it doesn't work like that for so many reasons. But the main one is that when you scroll, it releases dopamine in your brain. It releases like a much bigger spike than it usually would. Because usually we would get dopamine from like achieving things or like watching a sunset, reading a book, whatever, because they're, you know, pretty moderate levels of stimulation. But then when we go on social media, it's such a high level of stimulation. And that's not necessarily the bad bit, but it's the fact that when we come down from that, there's a really unnatural contrast between the high level of stimulation and the low level of stimulation of like doing your work or cleaning or whatever. And so your brain goes like, oh, this sucks. And then it just like, it craves that high stimulation again. And it can get really exhausting for your brain to go up and down all the time. And actually, if we're procrastinating about doing our work and we're going from scrolling to trying to do our work, trying to scroll, you know, our brain uses more energy going between those states than it actually would to just get the work done. And so it is extremely exhausting to, you know, like rest and get more energy from scrolling, because it doesn't do it, just exhausts your brain more. So put your phone in another room, put it on silent, whatever you need to do to not fall in the trap of just doom scrolling because you're tired, because that will make it so much worse. I can tell you that from personal experience. I have no shame in saying that. Don't fall into that trap. And also on a similar note is sugar actually. So all carbohydrates fit into these categories, and high GI foods, when you eat them, the glucose is released really quickly and your bloodstream gets filled with glucose really quickly, and then it like quickly decreases. Low GI on the other hand is where the glucose is released slowly over time and you have a pretty stable like blood glucose level. When you eat high GI foods, so like sugary foods like sweets, white bread, white rice, things like that, it peaks your glucose levels and then comes back down. And when you have that crash, that's that sugar crash that when kids eat lots of lollies, they get really exhausted and cranky afterwards. That's what happens. And then similar to with dopamine, you then crave it again because you're like, oh, I need energy, I need to eat sugar again. So when we're really tired, we also are craving sugar because it makes us feel energetic and it just leaves us feeling even more exhausted afterwards. So what you can instead do is have more complex carbohydrates, so like brown rice, wholemeal bread, vegetables, because they have a slower glucose release over time and you won't get that sugar crash and you won't feel as exhausted. And also exercise, I say in so many of my videos, especially ones about morning routine, but aerobic exercise increases the blood flow throughout your whole body, and when you have more blood flow in your brain, it increases your alertness and your awakeness and all of that, and just makes it so much easier to focus and get stuff done. So literally go for a 10-minute walk, even 5 minutes, literally the tiniest bit of exercise that you can do when you're tired. I'll be going for a walk later today because it is also just really nice weather, but it will help me feel so much better. And so I strongly encourage you to do that. You'll feel so much better. So to sum all of that up, the protocol for you when you have a really low energy day and you need to be still consistent on those days is, first of all, determine your minimum viable effort and put anything off onto the next day that you don't necessarily like have to get done today. Second of all, plan for the next day and make sure that you've got everything there ready to go so that you can just feel better about the next day and get that peace of mind. Third, don't fall into the trap of scrolling on your phone. Put it somewhere, do some refreshing activities that are actually high nutrient and make you feel better. Number 4, don't eat high glycemic index foods. Focus on more complex carbohydrates like brown rice and vegetables and things like that so that you have a slower glucose release. Number 5, do some aerobic exercise. And another one which I didn't mention, but also drink lots of water because sometimes we can be tired because we're dehydrated. Actually, that might make a lot of sense. I had burgers for dinner last night and I woke up really thirsty. That might be why I'm tired. I did get 8 hours of sleep. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what to do just like on a general basis so that you feel energetic more of the time. Because I will admit, a few years ago, I was so tired all the time, and that was mostly because I was overworking myself and I was literally working 15 hours a day to get the results that I wanted, but also because of a couple of reasons. The number one is sleep, obviously. You need to be getting between 7 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on like your age, gender, just what you need. So obviously establish good sleep hygiene, like not having your phone next to your bed, having the lights dimmed before you go to bed, not looking at screens before you go to bed, all those kind of things. And also if you need to take melatonin, I know this one can be controversial, but personally for me, I've had insomnia since I was 10 years old. And so I would literally lay in bed for about 4 hours. I could not get to sleep, and I would pretty much get like 5 hours of sleep a night from the age of 10 until a year ago. And then I've been taking melatonin every single night since then. And I know it's not ideal, like I'd much prefer to not need it, but unfortunately some people just have that struggle, and I would much rather take melatonin and get enough sleep than be sleep deprived my whole life. Secondly, do you have people in your life that are particularly draining you? Because I know that when I was like in high school especially, there were some certain people around that I remember when I would speak to them, I would feel so much more drained afterwards compared to now the friends that I have. Like I would catch up with them and then we'd catch up for like a few hours, and afterwards I just feel so much better and I just feel excited and motivated to go about my day. So find those people in your life and catch up with them more regularly, and really consider, you know, after every social interaction that you have, how am I feeling after this? Am I feeling more energized or more drained? And that should really dictate, you know, who you spend more time with versus less time with. Obviously, there are so many other factors relating to like who you determine is your friend, but in terms of your energy, that one's really important. A lot of the things actually do relate a lot to the things I said to do on a particularly tired day, like for example, not doom scrolling and not going on your phone first thing in the morning. That's a huge one actually, because when your brain wakes up, you need to give it time for it to like adapt to the world. And if you interrupt that adaptation with a screen, it will just make it shorter and you won't wake up probably and you'll be exhausted. And like drinking more water, exercising every day, especially in the morning, but like at least 45 minutes a day, every single day, no excuses. Now, if you do feel like you are chronically exhausted, even though you're across like all the other areas like exercise, nutrition, sleep, it is definitely worth checking with your GP, maybe doing a blood test and seeing like if there's any iron deficiencies or like anything like that, because it's not fun to be tired all the time. And it's totally acceptable to have a tired day every once in a while, even probably once a week is probably normal. But if you are feeling chronically tired every single day and you're not doom scrolling and you're drinking enough water and you're eating the right foods and everything like that, and you're exercising, then it's definitely worth checking in about all of that, because you don't want to, waste a long period of your time feeling exhausted, because it's just not fun and you won't really make progress to the goals that you want to achieve. Another thing that I didn't actually mention in the first part, but sometimes when you're really tired and you need to get stuff done, having a really simple to-do list where it's literally just like a physical notepad on paper, just write the things you need to get done and visibly just check them off once they're done, can really, really help. And I'm actually going to be doing that this afternoon for cleaning, because sometimes like I use digital to-do lists every single day pretty much, but sometimes I just need to detach from that and just have like, okay, this is all I need to do, and not worry about everything else that's on my Notion, because that's just gonna make me more stressed and more exhausted. And so really just simplify what you need to do, simplify how you're going to show yourself that it needs to get done. And that's all for this episode. It is shorter because I am tired and this is my minimum viable effort. I hope you still enjoyed. I hope it was still helpful. And if it was, it'd be amazing if you could rate this podcast and give it a follow if you're on Spotify, give it a like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, all of those things. And if you guys want more of this, because I've literally spent like yonks and years studying productivity, and really, especially for female content creators who have their own schedule and have results that are determined directly on their ability to be productive, I put all of my knowledge into a course, and it's launching the day that this podcast launches. I'll link it in the description for you, and I'm so excited for you to try it out, and I cannot wait to see you inside. There'll also be another free masterclass later this week, which if you're following my Instagram, which if you aren't, my Instagram's by Aria Emily, but I'll be promoting on there so you can join from there. But yeah, I hope you have the most amazing rest of your week, and bye. See you in the next episode.